We are long past the dog days of training camp with the Rams and UC Irvine. Now to the testy days of training camp with the Los Angeles Times. This is Gary Klein. I'm Lindsay Theory. And just a morning after hearing Coach Jeff Fisher tell his coaching staff on Hard Knocks that Todd Gurley under no circumstances is to be touched, we see the star running back at the bottom of a pile. Coach Jeff Fisher said it was his choice to get into a skirmish. Gary, he is the franchise running back. Very clear that this organization knows that their season is riding on Todd Gurley, and there he was, the bottom of the pile.
Bottom of the pile, a few plays after Benny Cunningham and Alec Ogletree got into it, and Cunningham slammed his helmet down to the ground. I think this was an example of Gurley, even though he knows he needs to stay out of harm's way. This is leadership coming out. This is him defending the honor of another running back, and that's what that was all about.
Pretty soon, Todd Gurley's going to have to defend his own honor to his coach when his coach says stay out of that kind of situation. Moving on to Alec Ogletree. Again, in Hard Knocks, we're really led into some conversations that we're not privy to when we're standing on the sideline. Alec Ogletree trying to transition into that middle linebacker spot. We also saw him physically moving teammates during last exhibition game. You talked to him after practice. How's that transition going for him?
He says it's going fine. Fisher says it's going fine. Greg Williams has been on his side as well.
Fine isn't really fine.
But the fact is, he's been in there for 2 games. He was very, very frustrated in the first drive, again, against the Chiefs. Just like the Cowboys, they went down that first drive and they scored. And Ogletree was expressing some frustration. The interesting thing is last year, he probably wouldn't have done that. As a weak side linebacker, as a young player. But again, he's a middle linebacker like Gurley, trying to establish some leadership. Ogletree is trying to assert himself.
Just keep that in mind. The word fine does not always mean fine. And finally, Jared Goff, he played 3 quarters against the Kansas City Chiefs in last week's exhibition game. This week against the Denver Broncos, probably not so much for Goff. It sounds like Case Keenum will get to play a little bit longer.
This is the final game, the 3rd exhibition, where starters are really stretched out. We won't see them at all probably in the final exhibition. So I would expect to see Keenum play the first half, and maybe Goff finishes up most of the second half, and maybe if there's some snaps left over, Sean Mannion gets a chance. But I don't think we'll see him quite as long as we saw him against the Chiefs.
Fisher said today was the last time that players will really get a chance to compete against each other during the workouts in pads. Tomorrow, Thursday, will be the final day of training camp that is open to the public. Keep it on the Los Angeles Times for the latest on the Rams from Irvine with Gary Klein. I'm Lindsay Theory for the Los Angeles Times.